Hi there everyone, and welcome back to another Miss Ink Stamps video. I'm Cassie. We're going to be making a winter card today, but we're going to be using a holiday stamp. This stamp is called Holly Jolly Christmas, and I just figured sometimes it's good to go through your stamps and see how you can use them in other ways. Like this one is called the Autumn Thanks. So we're going to combine that along with the wood grain frame. It's got all those great dies in there to make whatever words you want. And so, and I'm going to pair that up with some of my very favorite right now, this mixed media paper pad from scrapbook.com, because yeah, this paper is thick, can handle all the mediums, and it's nice and smooth. To save a little bit of time, I went ahead and die cut out the frame out of some craft cardstock using that wood grain frame. Look at that. It gives this beautiful detail all around it, and we'll enhance that a little bit more with some ink, but it's going to frame up our card very nicely. So that paper pad is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, so it's the full front of an A2 size card. And we're going to go ahead and put both of these pieces in there inside of our mini Misty, because I just want to line this stamp up there just to make sure that I have it in the right spot. So I'll set that in there, pardon my head, just kind of moving that around to be where I want. I do want a little extra space at the top, so I'll pick up the stamp and then I'm going to ink that up using some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. But before I do that, because I do want to do a little bit of watercoloring, I'm going to bring in my clear embossing powder along with an anti-static powder tool. But we're going to go ahead and ink up that stamp, and we'll stamp that down just a couple times. We're using some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This is a beautiful dark black pigment ink. And then I'll take away that wood grain frame and we'll cover that with that clear embossing powder. And then I can heat set that off camera and then it'll be ready to go. So I did go ahead and heat set that. Yeah, not on camera. Sorry about that. And now we're going to bring in our watercolor pencils. These are the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor pencils. This is set number 3. I have all 6 sets. It's taken me a little bit of time to get those, and I know I'm kind of late to the party, but I like to sometimes just grab one set and see what I can do with it, because oftentimes we don't have all the sets, right? You know, like it took me a little bit of time to get all 6 of those, and so it's fun to challenge yourself just to use the one from time to time. I'm starting off using that gray one. We're going to increase our speed here about quadruple. Right now we're only double time what I would normally color, but we're going to quadruple it up here in a second. And I am, as you can see, taking my Waterbrush and I am taking it directly to the pencil, and I'm just grabbing that color and putting that right on the paper. And then the reason I did go ahead and emboss this is because I wanted to leave little wells. So if you emboss your images, it's going to obviously give you a bit of a raised image. And then you can go from one spot to the next and not have to worry so much about colors bleeding into each other. Now with the smaller spaces, you still have to be a little bit careful, but that's part of the reason why I really do like heat embossing my images with some clear embossing powder, because I don't always like to take all the time and, you know, wait for one part to dry and then, you know, go to another part. I like to just not have to think about it a whole lot. Now we're bringing in a brown, and like with any watercolor, we're going to have to build this color up a little bit just to add that dimension that we typically like to have. So I am going to wait for that to dry just a little bit, and then I'll add a little bit darker parts, you know, using that same technique. These pencils can be used in several different ways, and right now I'm kind of focusing on just the water brush to the pencil, but later on I will color right on the paper and then blend that from there too. Now this is what I was talking about. I took this stamp set, which was called Holly Jolly Christmas, and I decided I wanted to make a winter card. Now not all berries in the winter are red. They're not all holly berries, so I decided to make mine blue to kind of go along with my winter theme. There are purple ones, there are white ones, I think. I kind of looked it up, just went to Pinterest and kind of checked it out. But this is just a fun way to add a little more life to a stamp set. Whereas, you know, you might have used a stamp like this, or this stamp in particular, to make a ton of your Christmas cards, but you can also use it to make winter cards. I think that's fun. So we've got our blueberries, so it's not so Christmas. If I had done these red, it would definitely scream Christmas, but I did them blue. And then we're just, yeah, we'll color the rest of it the same way. And I'm not going to use the sentiment because you can see off to the side it says wishing you a holly jolly Christmas. Clearly we're not going to use that because I want this to be a winter card. Now that's what I'm doing right here is what I was talking about earlier, just bringing that crayon or the pencil right to the paper, and then I can blend that out using my water brush, and then I'll go right back into the pencil and I'll grab some of that color. You can take these pencils and do it on dry paper. You can also do it on wet paper, and it gives a different effect as well. Now we'll color up our little houses and trying to be real careful not to go outside the lines too much. And I do have just like a microfiber rag off to the side so I can wipe my brush off in between using each pencil so that I don't drag that color into the next color. And we're just about done here. Now that we are, I'm gonna bring in some blending brushes along with some ink. This ink is some Weeping Willow by Simon Hurley Create. And by blending that ink onto our wood frame, it's gonna kind of enhance the embossing that this die had put onto that cardstock. And I think it looks great. Cleaned up my mess, I'm bringing in a light blue ink. This is called Minty Fresh, and we're just going to blend that around the edges. The reason I want to do that is because putting this frame over the top of my card panel is going to make a little bit of that white show on the sides, which is not a big deal, but I didn't want it to be so stark white. So I did the Minty Fresh, and then I didn't separate all of my letters. I went ahead and die cut all the letters because, especially for the word winter, because that's what I'm using, I just need one of each of those letters. So I went ahead and die cut the whole thing out and pulled out the letters that I need. I'll save the other letters for another project. And I'll just use some liquid glue and I'll adhere down my frame to the front of my card panel. And then I'm going to bring in a white piece of paper, and we're just going to use some reverse tweezers along with a little bit of liquid glue, and we'll start with the R and we'll work backwards. That way I can make sure everything is on there nice and straight and I have plenty of room. Kind of funny when you're thinking about spelling things backwards, just trying to make sure that you do it right. It might have been a better idea for me to actually set it out, spell it out, and then I could have pulled the letters as I needed them, but we went ahead and tested it and just went. Thankfully, I spelled it correctly. So, yeah. And that's the fun thing about these die sets. Again, that's the wood grain frame, is that you can spell out any words you want and put those on top of your cards. And so bringing in winter, we've made this scene just winter. It's not holiday anymore. And, those blueberries, which by picking the dark blue color that I chose for the word winter, it also makes the winter berries themselves pop. And so we'll put our tittle on our winter word, and then we're going to trim this down a little bit. And I'm leaving that backside a little bit long, but I did bring in the word wishes. That came from that autumn thanks. So once again, bringing in a stamp set that has the word autumn in it, but it has all those other great words in it, so I could combine this. So we've got winter wishes. Not only did we use an autumn stamp set, but we also used a holiday stamp set, and we made a winter card. I'll trim off the excess, and then I can put some liquid glue on my panel to attach this down to my card base, which was 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. And then once that's on there, that's going to finish off our card for today. I really love how this turned out. I love that I was able to utilize a couple of stamp sets that you typically might not use for winter, but I like how it turned out. So if you like this video, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And a big, huge thanks for stopping by and watching, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.